Shalom, bro.
Shalom, man.
Might be going to the gym tomorrow.
Shalom. Happy Sabbath, brother. Yeah, he did. He might be here today. Yeah, he was here though. I told you, man, we go way back. You under the weather? We are.
It's around that time, bro.
I mean, the pollen been affecting me real bad. It's up to you, whatever you want to start, man.
I'm gonna start with 310.
3-2. Where the life of the party at, man? Life of the party. Or the Dunbar? That's Ricky's son. That's the life of the party right there.
I'm trying to get somebody, some people, more time to come. You know what I think I should have done? Put my fringes over the hood.
Whatever. You still got time. You say she still gotta do some more. You said she still gotta do some more. She gotta do your other stuff.
Yeah.
I just do it now.
I'm talking about like putting the shirt.
I can see it. Like the shirt is kind of longer than the hood.
Yeah.
Shalom. That go to life of the party, man. There you go. So you know the format, right? You know the format, right? We read the Ten Commandments first before we get into it.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about that.
Yeah, so
You gonna have none? All right, everybody, it's 3:10. So I guess I will start. First, I want to introduce myself to those who don't know me personally. My name is Brother Gabe. All right. Today's lesson is going to be on serving other gods. All right. This lesson is going to be very short, simple, and to the point. All right. But before we start, I realize that we start off with the 10 Commandments. So if you would be so kindly and read them. Appreciate it. So can everybody please turn to Exodus 20?
I'm gonna go get mom and dad real quick.
All right, for sure. Shalom.
Shalom, sis.
So, Brother Gabe, mom requested to read the 10 Commandments today.
Oh, shit.
She requested it.
So you wanted to read the 10 Commandments?
Yeah, it'll be a nice time for her to read the 10 Commandments, if that's okay with you, Heather.
Hey, that's fine. Is your father here?
Yeah. Is he?
Yeah.
All right, so I guess we just waiting on Brother Ricky, right? All right. Now, I must warn you, we will be staying in Exodus for the most part, except for like one other precept. Shalom, Mike.
Shalom.
So, like I told everybody, this lesson is going to be on serving other gods. It's going to be a very short, simple, and sweet lesson. And we'll be in Exodus for a majority of these precepts. So, were you was for real that she was going to read, or you actually planning on reading?
He's not getting ready today.
Oh, yeah, I read it.
All right.
Yeah,
All right. All right, whenever you're ready. Wait,
Exodus
first, wait,
20.
I'm sorry. Everybody done? All right, you can start.
All right, Exodus 20. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not keep the name of the Lord thy God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor the stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
Okay, thank you, Sister, I'm sorry, what's your name?
Javin.
Javin. Thank you, Sister Javin, for reading the 10 Commandments. It's funny because my first precept is in the 10 Commandments, right? So if everybody please flip the page back over. We're going to get the first 6 verses, all right? Would you like to read?
Exodus 20, starting at verse 1 again. It says, And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Lord thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, and to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments.
All right, thank you. So, like we just read, it's very plain and simple to understand. We can't have any gods before the Father. We're not supposed to make any graven images, and we're not supposed to bow down ourselves to them, right? But I actually want to get a little bit more context on verse 4 when it's talking about graven images. So everybody, please flip the page over, and in that same chapter, I will get verse 23.
Exodus 20, verse 23. You shall not make with me gods of silver, neither shall you make unto you gods of gold.
All right. So I actually want to give an example of our ancestors actually breaking these very commandments, right? I feel like everybody knows this event. This is a very big event because we just received these commandments, and about almost a month and a half later, we actually break these the first 3 commandments. We're going to get that example in Exodus chapter 32. Right. This chapter basically goes over Moses being in Mount Sinai. Aaron is with the people, and they are getting tired, and they're getting tired of waiting. Shalom, everybody. We are in Exodus chapter 32.
You want the whole thing? You want the whole thing?
Yeah, but I think I'm gonna tell you when to stop though.
Okay. This is Exodus chapter 32.
Give them a chance to.
Y'all want to set up the table right quick?
All good.
All right.
You are in Exodus 32. So if y'all can, could y'all leave some type of note, because we're gonna go back to we're gonna flip back and forth to from Exodus 32 back to Exodus 20 for the first few verses, so we can see these the 10 Commandments being broken, right? So when everybody is ready, we can start in Exodus 32 and verse 1.
This is the book of Exodus chapter 32 and verse 1. And when the people saw that Moses delayed to come down out of the mount, the people gathered themselves together unto Aaron, and said unto him, Make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And Aaron said unto them, Break off the golden earrings, which are in the ears of your wives and your sons and your daughters, and bring them unto me. And all the people brake off the golden earrings which were in their ears, and brought them unto Aaron. And he received them at their hand, and fashioned it with a graven tool, after he had made after he had made it a molten calf. And they said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
All right. So as you can see from the first few verses, like it says, Moses is in Mount Sinai with the Father. He's receiving the Ten Commandments, right? So while we're waiting, while he's doing up there, the children of Israel, along with Aaron, are kind of at the bottom. Everybody's getting anxious and tired of waiting for Moses to come back down. So they tell Aaron to rise up and make us gods, right? So we're actually going to go back and we're going to get that commandment. So if everybody can flip back to Exodus 20. Just for right quick. We're going to get that, the fourth verse, which is the second commandment. Can you read it for me? All right.
Which verse you said?
Verse 4 in Exodus 20.
Verse 4. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth.
All right. So let's flip back. And I want you to read up until, finish off with Exodus 32 and 6.
Exodus chapter 32, or you want me to start over?
No, you can continue off of,
We start at 5.
yeah.
Exodus chapter 32, verse 5 and 6. And when Aaron saw it, he built an altar before it. And Aaron made a proclamation and said, Tomorrow is a feast to the Lord. And they rose up early on the morrow and offered burnt offerings and brought peace offerings. And the people sat down to eat and to drink and rose up to play.
All right. So, actually, I want y'all to go to Exodus 22, right? We're actually going to go to Exodus 22 for this precept. So just like a page over. And read verse 20 in Exodus 22.
This is the book of Exodus chapter 22, starting at verse 20. He that sacrificeth unto any god, save unto the Lord only, he shall be utterly destroyed.
All right. So everybody can flip back to Exodus 32, and you can continue where you left off.
It's Exodus chapter 32, starting at verse 7. And the Lord said unto Moses, Go, get thee down, for the people which thou broughtest out of the land of Egypt have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way, which I commanded them. They have made them a molten calf, and have worshipped it, and sacrificed thereunto, and said, These be thy gods, O Israel, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt. And the Lord said unto Moses, I have seen this people, and behold, it is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore, let me alone, that my wrath may wax hot against them, and that I may consume them, and I will make of thee a great nation. Keep going.
Yes.
And Moses besought the Lord his God and said, Lord, why doth thy wrath wax hot against thy people, which thou hast brought forth out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Wherefore should the Egyptians speak and say, For mischief did he bring them out, to slay them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from thy fierce wrath, and repent of this evil against thy people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, thy servants, to whom thou swearest by thy own self, and saidest unto them, I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and all this land that I have spoken of will I give unto your seed, and they shall inherit it forever. And the Lord repented of the evil which he thought to do unto his people. And Moses turned and went down from the mount, and with the two tables of the testimony, were in his hand. The tables were written on both their sides, on the one side and on the other side were they written. And the tables were the work of God, and the writing was the writing of God graven upon the tables. And when Joshua heard the noise of the people as they shouted, he said unto Moses, there is a noise of war in the camp. And he said, it is not the voice of them that shout for mastery, neither is it the voice of them that cry for being overcome, but the noise of them that sing do I hear. And it came to pass, as soon as he had come nigh unto the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger waxed hot, and he cast the tables out of his hand, and brake them beneath the mount. And he took the calf which they had made, and burnt it with fire, and ground it to powder, and strawed it upon the water, and made the children of Israel drink of it. And Moses said unto Aaron, what did this people unto thee, that thou hast brought so great a sin upon them? And Aaron said, let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. Thou knowest the people, that they are set on mischief. For they said unto me, make us gods, which shall go before us. For as for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And I said unto them, whosoever hath any gold, let him break it off. So they gave it me. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies, then Moses stood in the gate of the camp and said, who is on the Lord's side? Let him come unto me. And all the sons of Levi gathered themselves together unto him. And he said unto them, thus saith the Lord God of Israel, put every man his sword by his side, and go in and out from gate to gate throughout the camp, and slay every man his brother, and every man his companion, and every man his neighbor. And the children of Levi did according to the word of Moses. And there fell of the people that day about 3,000 men. For Moses said, consecrate yourselves today to the Lord, even every man upon his son and upon his brother, that he may bestow upon you a blessing this day. And it came to pass on the morrow that Moses said unto the people, you have sinned a great sin, and now I will go up unto the Lord, and peradventure I shall make an atonement for your sin. And Moses returned unto the Lord and said, oh, this people have sinned a great sin, and have made them gods of gold. Yet now, if thou wilt forgive their sin, and if not, blot me, I pray thee, out of thy book which thou hast written. And the Lord said unto Moses, whosoever hath sinned against me, him will I blot out of my book. Therefore now go, lead the people unto the place of which I have spoken unto thee. Behold, my angel shall go before thee. Nevertheless, in the day when I visit, I will visit their sin upon them. And the Lord plagued the people because they had made the calf which Aaron made.
Thank you. So as you can see, this is a very big problem because, like I said, Moses is only in a mount for almost a month and a half. Not only that, but we actually said that all the things that we were going to do for the Lord, we said that we were going to do them, right? I want everybody to go back to Exodus chapter 19 so we can actually get that out of our own mouths. We said that we were going to do the will of the Father, right? Start at verse 1.
Exodus chapter 19, starting at verse 1. In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. Verse 2. For they were departed from Rephidim and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched into the wilderness. And there Israel camped before the mount. And Moses went up unto God, and the Lord called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, Then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. And Moses came and called the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which the Lord commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that the Lord hath spoken, we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto the Lord.
All right, you can stop right there. So, as y'all can see, the Father talked to Moses, and he told Moses to tell the children of Israel that if you indeed keep my covenant, right, that y'all will be a peculiar people unto me. Y'all will be above every other nation on this earth, right? Moses went to go get the elders because the elders represent pretty much everybody under them, right? They're, wiser, so they represent us, right? The common people, right? Moses tells these to the elder, right? All the sayings from the Father. And they said that everything that the Father said, we will do, right? So the Father witnesses this, right? And it's even worse because I want everybody to basically go to the next chapter over. And we're actually going to get verse 18, right? Now, the Father's given us the 10 Commandments. And we're witnessing this, right? We're seeing the thick dark cloud above Mount Sinai. We see thunder. We're hearing thunder. We're seeing lightning. We're hearing thunder. We hear the noise of a trumpet. We're scared out of our minds, right? Can you do me a favor and read verse 18?
This is Exodus 20, starting at verse 18. And all the people saw the thunderings, and the lightnings, and the noise of the trumpet, and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off. And they said unto Moses, speak thou with us, and we will hear. But let not God speak with us, lest we die.
Keep reading.
And Moses said unto the people, fear not, for God is come to prove you, and that his fear may be before your faces, that you sin not. And the people stood afar off, and Moses drew near unto the thick darkness where God was. And the Lord said unto Moses, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, you have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. You shall not make with you gods of silver, neither shall you make unto you, you shall not make with me gods of silver, neither shall you make unto you gods of gold.
All right. So like I said, we're witnessing all this happen. We're scared that we're about to die, right? You would think because we saw this, and it's been what? About almost 2 months later since Aaron has been in the mount dealing with the Father, you'd think that this event right here will be dwelling with us in our minds, and that will keep us in check. But it hasn't. It only took us literally almost 2 months to go back to serving idols and making images, right? I would like for us to go to Exodus 23. Yeah, Exodus 23. And I actually want to know what is the title for everybody's chapter 23. I'm sorry? All right. And what version you reading out of?
King James, with the Apocrypha.
Okay. I want everybody to tell me.
Why don't you set the foundation?
Laws about personal action.
All right.
Mine says sundry laws.
All right. Anybody else want to go? Anybody else want to tell me what's the title for it?
Concerning restitution.
Concerning restitution. All right. Anybody else? Really? Oh, okay. All right. Well, mine says conquest of the land assured, right? So when we get into this land, right, the Father didn't even want us to say the names of other gods. As you can see in verse 13 in Exodus 23. Can you read that for me?
Exodus chapter 23, verse 13. And in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect, and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth.
All right. Not only that, when we get to this land, we are supposed to take over the nations that's already there and break down their images, right? So we won't succumb to that. Because you got to remember, when we came out of Egypt, we weren't the only people that were serving the Egyptians. At that time, Egypt was a mighty nation that had other people with us. You know, when the Father brought us out of the land of Egypt, there was a mixed multitude of people that came along with us, indicating that there were more than just one nation under the oppression of the Egyptians, right? So I want you to read verse 24 in that same chapter.
Exodus chapter 23, verse 24. Thou shalt not bow down to their gods, nor serve them, nor do after their works, but thou shalt utterly overthrow them and quite break down their images.
Keep reading.
And you shall serve the Lord your God, and he shall bless thy bread and thy water, and I will take sickness away from the midst of thee. There shall nothing cast their young, nor be barren in thy land. The number of thy days I will fulfill.
Keep reading.
And I will send my fear before thee, and will destroy all the people to whom thou shalt come. And I will make thine enemies turn their backs unto thee. And I will send hornets before thee, which shall drive out the Hivites, the Canaanite, and the Hittite from before thee. I will not drive them out from before thee in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the beasts of the field multiply against thee. By little and little will I drive them out from before thee, until thou be increased and inherit the land. And I will set thy bounds from the Red Sea, even unto the sea of the Philistines, and from the desert unto the river. For I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and thou shalt drive them out from before thee.
All right. Shalom, Brother Andre. All right, so like I said, when we got to this land, we were supposed to break down their images, right, of the people that was already having it, which were the Canaanites and everybody else that was listed, right? If we do this, the Father was going to bless us. Oh, and by the way, we are in Exodus 23. I'm going to give y'all a second to get to it right quick. Y'all there? All right. So, like the Father said in verse 25, He said, if we serve him, he is gonna bless, he'll bless thy bread and thy water and take sickness away from you, right? So when we get in this land, if we were supposed to do what we were supposed to do, we wouldn't have to, worry about being hungry or thirsty. We won't even have to be worrying about being sick. Read verse 26 for me.
Verse 26, there shall nothing cast their young, nor be barren in thy land. The number of thy days I will fulfill.
All right. So if we were to do what we were supposed to, none of our women will be barren, will be fruitful, will be multiplying, right? Keep reading.
And I will send my fear before thee, and will destroy all the people to whom thou shalt come. And I will make thine enemies turn their backs unto thee. Verse 28, and I will send hornets before thee, which shall drive out the Hivite, the Canaanite, and the Hittite from before thee. I will not drive them out from before thee in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the beasts of the field multiply against thee. By little and little will I drive them out from before thee, until thou be increased and inherit the land.
All right. So as we can read, the Father will send his fear against them through us. These nations that were already there before us, they will fear us, right? And the Father will drive them out. But as we can see, he won't do it all in one go, because even though we were many, we weren't enough for that land. So if the Father was to drive everything out, all the nations out, the animals will actually multiply and be more than us, because you got to remember, the average birth rate for a human is like 9 months, a little less, a little more. That's depending on the woman, right? For some animals, it can take only a few months, right? But it's going to be less than 9 months, right? So the animals procreate at a faster rate. Now, going back a little further, going back to verse 24 about bowing down to their gods and serving them and overthrowing them, their images. I actually want to get an example of a king that did the opposite, right? And this is a major king, right? One of the most righteous kings up until he got old. I want everybody to turn to 1 Kings chapter 11.
You going to verse 11?
So we're going to read the whole chapter.
Whole chapter?
Chapter 11. 1 Kings chapter 11.
Okay.
When everybody get there, you can read.
This is the book of 1 Kings chapter 11, starting at verse 1. First Kings chapter 11, starting at verse 1. It says here, but King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, you shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as David his father. Then Solomon built a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, and the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. And the Lord was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which the Lord commanded. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, Forasmuch as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. Notwithstanding, in thy days I will not do it for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. Howbeit, I will not rend away all the kingdom, but I will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen. And the Lord stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad the Edomite. He was of the king's seed in Edom. For it came to pass, when David was in Edom, and Joab the captain of the host was gone to bury the slain, after he had smitten every male in Edom. For 6 months did Joab remain there with all Israel, until he had cut off every male in Edom. That Hadad fled, he and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him, to go into Egypt. Hadad being very young, Hadad yet a little child, being yet a little child, and that they arose out of Midian and came to Paran. And they took men with them out of Paran, and they came to Egypt, unto Pharaoh king of Egypt, which gave him an house, and appointed him victuals, and gave him land. And Hadad found favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him to wife the sister of his own wife, the sister of Taphanes the queen.
Actually, you can stop right there. The main point of bringing this example out is because you have literally the wisest king in all of Israel, right? Fall for heathen women. And he had a bunch of them. Because of his love for these women, he ended up creating their people's gods, right? And he knew better. The father came to this man in a dream and asked him, what did he want? And he said all he wanted was wisdom. Not only did he get that, but everything else to him, the father gave to him that he didn't ask for, he gave it to him and he multiplied it. So you would think because of this, he would have done right just like his father, but he didn't, all right? This is really all I have for my lesson, but I do have a question that I want to pose to everybody. And it's all speculation to me, but I want everybody to turn to Leviticus chapter 10.
What was the title of the lesson?
Serving other gods. Is everybody in Leviticus chapter 10? All right. So my question is, what was it? I actually want to read and get to it. So I guess we can start off at verse 10. Verse 1 in chapter 10.
Verse 10 through
Just keep reading up until I get to the strange fire part.
Okay. This is Leviticus chapter 10.
But just keep reading.
Starting
until
at-
you say stop.
Starting at verse 10, it says
Verse
that,
1.
oh, verse 1. Leviticus chapter 10, starting at verse 1. It says, And Nadab and Abihu, the sons of Aaron, took either of them his censer, and put fire therein, and put incense thereon, and offered strange fire before the Lord, which he commanded them not. And there went out fire from the Lord, and devoured them, and they died before the Lord.
Okay, you can stop right there. All right, so my question for everybody is, what was this strange fire? When I read this, I assumed that this strange fire was something that they were going to offer to another god, but didn't. To me, it was just speculation as I was going through this and putting together this lesson. But I want to hear from everybody else and what they think about this verse in chapter 10.
I know last week we spoke about, well, I had mentioned something about there's levels to this. As far as stature and responsibilities. And I know the priests had one of the most prominent responsibilities, and they were held up high. Even you asked a question about wearing purple yesterday. And it all ties into it. So where I'm going with that is that when I was reading it for maybe the 10th or 20th time, I had the same question. And I can't prove it, but my opinion, and I want to be very clear, it's my opinion, is that the strange fire that was that is talked about was possibly the two sons not being in their right mind, not being sober. Possibly, I mean, it may be funny, but I mean, I can't prove it right. You can't say it's wrong.
I'm not laughing. This is all
I know
speculation.
it's all opinionated, and that's fair. And they were attempting to make a sacrifice while in that mind frame. And being that the priest and Aaron's sons were supposed to be no impurity whatsoever, I think they possibly messed up and potentially made a sacrifice not being sober-minded, which would make the sacrifice strange, in a sense. That's just my opinion. I don't think the Most High would approve of that.
All right.
They just had different rules. They had different regulations that they had to keep, different from, I guess, your natural citizens. And I think both the sons kind of maybe slipped up, tried to make a sacrifice. Most High obviously noticed it and killed them.
Understood.
But I don't believe that they sacrificed something to another god. I don't think that's what they did. I don't think that's what strange fire means. I think Aaron called his sons well. And they knew what they were doing. I think they just maybe had to slip up on it. And Most High had to help them accountable for it.
I understand. Anybody else want to give it a shot?
On the precepts of my Bible, those mine say the word strange, it got unlawful. So it was an unlawful thing, whatever they did for the Most High, take them out like that.
Do you possibly think they could have offered something unclean? Like,
It was unpleasing to the Most High for them to take them out like that, instantly, whatever they are.
because the only thing I can think of is the dietary law, and they already tells us what we can and can't eat. You know, so going by that, they could have offered something, you know, unlawful. Anybody else?
I think that they just were offering something that was, or the way that they made the fire, they used some stuff that they got a better deal on, some coals that they took from another, that was from like one of the pagan gods, or had used to been offered to somebody else. They thought it might not really matter, or they just slipped up on the process because they thought it wasn't as significant when they were making the offering to God, and God punished them for their making such an abnormal type of offering.
So
It
basically,
wasn't pleasing to them.
what you're saying is whatever they used to start that fire with, it could have been a cursed thing.
It could have been like if we were to make an offering and just use like propane and like cooking charcoal rather than starting a fire and following the pattern the way that God had laid out for us. Rather than doing it exactly as they were taught, they might have skipped a step or they just used something that wasn't processed the way that was tradition. They just didn't appreciate it in some kind of way.
All right.
So if these are grown men, what would make you think that they just all of a sudden decided to offer an unclean animal? If this is not their first time there and they know what needs to be done, why would all of a sudden they just say, oh, I'm gonna offer this to them, knowing the consequences?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, if you could have priests basically sleeping around with women,
Wait, what?
yeah,
Say it
you
again?
had two priests. I think they were the son of what's his name, Eli.
Eleazar?
No, it was
Let's see why.
Eli. Yeah,
Eli?
yeah. His sons were actually going around, basically fornicating. So you can have people doing that. You can have, anybody just doing anything unlawful. Like, you can't really put it past them to do something like this. I mean,
But the Bible stated specifically what those sons did. You're trying to make a correlation with strange fire.
what I'm saying, the point is that they did something they knew they weren't supposed to do because they were taught, and they still broke the law. That's the point.
And like Solomon himself, a wise man, he still was intrigued by folly.
Yeah, he had so many wives. On top of that, heathen wives, and each nation got their own god. So him knowing this, right? He still built images for his wives, and he knew better, right? This is the same man the father spoke to in a dream and asked him what he wanted, and he wanted wisdom. Of anything he could have wanted, he wanted wisdom. With that, he should have known better. Yet, he still, did this great sin. So, you really can't put it past anybody.
I feel like when they said with the strange fire, it would have to be. I feel like it would have to be someone with the ritual also, like with the fire, because it said strange fire.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it could have been some type of witchcraft they did with it. Probably not. But it was probably offered to Father God or something like that. Because just like with strange wives, like you say, strange mean, not lawful. So it had to be something wrong that they did. And it's like the scripture you read before that, he said that he would kill them if they did that. And they got killed. So you have to imagine that they did something that drastic, that wild. Like
Exactly.
sacrificing to another god or doing something, with witchcraft or something with the fire, some type of ritual that wasn't right. Either way, like you said, they knew better because they was raised in the, in the scripture and the faith and the truth.
And you had somebody teaching you these things, right? The children of Israel, they actually saw all these, what you can call a natural disaster happen, right? They're hearing the voice of the Father. They were so scared, they told Moses, let him speak with you, and you just relay the message to us, because we're gonna die if you keep talking. They said this. They saw this happen. And this was what? A month, like almost 2 months after when Moses was in the mount and they wanted to serve another God because they got tired of waiting for Moses. you had a question? Or something you want to say, Sister Yafa?
Yeah, so, in Exodus 30, it talks about how Aaron, offered up a sweet incense, right? And then it goes on to say in verse 9, you shall offer no strange incense thereon,
Yeah,
nor
hold on.
burnt sacrifice, nor meat offered, or neither shall you pour a drink offering
Wait, hold
thereon.
on, where you at? I'm sorry.
Exodus 30.
In what verse? Oh, verse 1? 9? Okay.
Start at 8.
Everybody there?
Okay, and when Aaron lighted the lamp at evening, he shall burn incense upon it, a perpetual incense before the Lord throughout your generations. You shall offer no strange incense thereon, nor burnt sacrifice, nor meat offerings, neither shall you pour drink offering thereon.
That was Exodus 30, verse 8 and 9.
It's particular to this instance. There's a good one and a bad one. One good one is all incense, like nothing else to it. It's all some good incense. Some don't smell like potpourri.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry, y'all. Sister Zipporah.
So, listen to those verses that Sister Yapa just read. I would say it was unauthorized fire, they were making their own fire aside from what the Most High commanded. So it was strange.
Understood. Who had it? Sister Naomi. You had something that you want to add?
Well, I was just gonna start with, what I think Brother Robin Yapa said. It seems that it was basically unauthorized, because he didn't command him to do it. Whereas in the, I think the chapters before that, he was speaking to Moses, he was commanding him or telling him what to do in this instance. Rather than commanding him to do this, so like I said, I think that's what it was. That it wasn't, like, he wasn't told to do that, or it wasn't told to do that, so it was, because it was unauthorized.
All right. As a matter of fact, I actually want to highlight. Anybody got a highlighter? I caught it. Shit. Give me one second.
The process was disrespectful. Going in there intoxicated before God and trying to offer incense when you're not in the right mind.
So what you saying?
They could even throw it up on the offering and then try to light it on fire. And very disrespectful. God didn't appreciate that. I wouldn't imagine.
I don't know if it got that crazy.
It had to be lit at evening.
It's when you read, when you read this chapter starting at verse 1, this is giving you the breakdown, not just of what goes in it, but how you build the altar, when it happens. You mentioned about evening. You do this offering in the morning and the evening. Okay, in verse 7, just to read it, because you read verse 8, right, Sister Yafa?
Yeah.
Okay, when you read verse 7, and really you should start, anybody who reads this should start at verse 1, because this tells you exactly what to do, what type of wood to use, like you mentioned earlier, Philip, about whether they use coals or whatnot. It shows you what type of wood they use. It shows you what vessel they put it in, et cetera, et cetera. But right here in verse 7, in regards to your question, also, it says, Aaron shall burn thereon sweet incense every morning. Okay, so he burns it in the morning. When he dresses the lamps, he shall burn incense upon it. And then in verse 8, it says, and when Aaron lighted the lamps at even, okay, he shall burn incense upon it, a perpetual incense before the Lord throughout your generations. Now, when you read the Bible, you'll notice that things occur multiple times. Laws are repeated multiple times throughout the scriptures. If you go to Numbers chapter 28, it tells you about this same offering, okay? In the book of Numbers, chapter 28, I'm gonna read verse 1 through 3, because this is gonna tell you about this very offering, along with others that are offered every morning and every evening. Okay? In Numbers 28, I'm gonna read verse 1 through 3 very quickly. Now, just to give you guys some context, in the book of Numbers, chapter 28 and 29, these are all the offerings that we're supposed to give for every feast day, if you will. All right, all the appointed times that God has given us in the scriptures are listed in Numbers 28 and 29. It goes through the Feast of Passover, unleavened bread, tabernacles, right? The Sabbaths, the new moons. But the first thing that it starts off with is what's supposed to be burnt every morning and evening, right? It says in verse 1, and the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, command the children of Israel and say unto them, my offering and my bread for my sacrifices made by fire for a sweet savor unto me, shall you observe to offer unto me in their due season. So God has an appointed time where he had us, or really the priests, to sacrifice these offerings, right? In verse 3, it says, you shall say unto them, this is the offering made by fire, which you shall offer unto the Lord. 2 lambs of the first year without spot, day by day, for a continual burnt offering. 1 lamb shalt thou offer in the morning, and the other shalt thou offer at even. So we can see that there are offerings that the Most High tells the priest to perform, including the incense, right? The incense is inside the tabernacle. But then once they come out of the tabernacle, then they have their daily sacrifices, which are performed every morning, every evening. This is every day, okay? It doesn't matter what day it is, 7 days out the week, however many weeks in a year, 52 weeks in a year, they offer this every morning, or at least that's what we used to do. Of course, can't do that anymore.
So, Gabe, so I've heard, which was a really good question, by the way, unauthorized fire, now possibly considering that they may be offered the fire at a different time other than morning and evening, which would deem it as unauthorized. Is that correct?
I believe so. Just going straight off the.
Okay, so then, even with the Solomon thing, do you think that he really did that in his right mind?
Sorry
about that. Even when you mentioned Solomon, you and the other brother mentioned Solomon, and I'm just asking, do you think that he did that even in his right mind? Like what I'm asking is, obviously these strange women also knew things, and they had fathers. Some of them, most of them, I would imagine, important fathers that knew who Solomon was, that possibly convinced their daughters to do certain things and try to get Solomon to do things that he wasn't supposed to do. So in saying that, obviously, if Solomon is the most wisest man on the earth, then he surely knew better. He's a very smart man. He knew better. So what I'm asking is there a possibility that these women possibly cursed him or said something to make him get out of the right frame of mind for him to do those things? Or do you think Solomon really did that in his right mind? And I'm asking because if you're supposed to know as a priest, you're supposed to burn this incense at 2 specific times of the day, and you just happen to quote unquote forget, like you mentioned, then in order to forget something as important and vital as that, then maybe you weren't in your right mind. That's my point when you asked me the first question. So that's what I was saying. So I'm asking you, do you think Solomon did all these things, or even Aaron's sons, in their right mind?
I'm gonna say possibly. I mean, the man was old, right? Probably his age could have possibly, it could have played a factor, right? But because I really don't know, I'm gonna say probably not. I don't think he was. There was nothing that could have affected him
no external influence whatsoever.
If anything, it could have been his wives
That's what I'm
themselves. So yeah, I feel like it's
asking. You said what? Right, so that's the whole point.
Because-
He shouldn't have been even around them, I know that.
yeah,
Maybe that's the reason why, because Most High knew what they were capable of.
exactly. As a matter of fact, you can actually go back to Deuteronomy 7, and actually we can actually read this.
And these people, I mean, even with Moses, when he had made the staff into a serpent, those other priests, they would do the same thing. So these people, they knew of certain things, they had certain powers themselves, right? That their gods gave them capabilities to do so. So surely these women knew, they knew some stuff too.
Yeah, so Solomon took a major risk taking all these heathen wives. He didn't have not one, but he had many of them, right? Everybody in Deuteronomy 7? All right.
Which one?
I want to start at verse, huh?
1 through 4.
We're going to start at verse 2. You can read it. Deuteronomy
Yes,
chapter
ma'am.
7, we're going to start at verse 2. So we can get more clarity on, Solomon's grave mistake.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 2 through 4. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt not make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you, and destroy thee suddenly.
All right. And we can actually go back to 1 Kings chapter 11. And we can actually reread verses 1 through 4.
Okay. We're back in 1 Kings chapter 11, verse 1 through 4. It says again, but King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, you shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David, his father.
So as we just read again, Solomon, married all these strange women, right? And because of that, he fell for them. He was willing to do their bidding. They wanted their gods back. And he gave it back to them, right? And because of that, his heart was turned away from the Father. You can read verse 5 so we can, get.
For Solomon, verse 5, for Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Moabites.
Keep reading a little bit more.
And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. Then Solomon built an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, and the hill that is before Jerusalem, and Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods.
You can stop right there. So Solomon resurrected these gods after the gods of their people, all because he fell in love with heathen women, right? He knew better. He had the law, obviously, right? He had the wisdom. He had a queen from Sheba come to him, ask him a question. She was satisfied from what the answer he gave her. And she gave him riches. He had people coming to him from every nation to receive his wisdom. So obviously he knew better than to marry these women. He knew that this was a huge risk, and that risk ended up taking over him in the long run. What's up?
I feel like, to answer that question, we was talking about, when we was talking about, did they need external forces like that? Because I feel like Solomon was living in perpetual sin because of the wives, which God told him was gonna turn him away. So like people like David, like they just had instances where they fell short. So I can't see that why Aaron and them couldn't do the same thing. Couldn't just like have moments where they just fell short. Not that they were living in sin continually, but they fell short that day and it cost them their life, you know what I'm saying? But somebody like Solomon, he actually continually built altars for these women. You know what I'm saying? He did that on David. You know what I'm saying? He kept doing that.
This is in his old age, though. It's not like he did it in his youth.
But still, there's a difference. Even if it wasn't for his wives, Solomon still had desires that wasn't right. You know what I'm saying? Just like Aaron and everybody else.
So you're saying there was like a boiling point? It just got to that?
I was saying, basically, he chose to do something that God already told you. He didn't say if they would turn away. He said they will turn away. So eventually it's gonna happen. And he was playing with it. With other people, I feel like they just had moments. You know what I'm saying? David had a moment that caused him to sleep with Bathsheba and kill somebody. But that wasn't what he was doing every day. But Solomon literally was the wisest man and doing it every day. So that's crazy. That's actually wild.
The men that got struck down, it could have been as simple as like maybe they didn't prepare the proper materials at a time to make a proper offering. So then, like when they were running late to actually perform an offering from wherever they were at, where they got drunk, they just grabbed something along the way, knowing that they didn't have the materials they needed to perform an offering, and they just performed an offering with what they had. And God saw it as disrespectful because obviously they put aside their duties to go have fun and get drunk, and then yeah, they performed an offering, but the offering wasn't one that glorified God. And it was strange in that sense.
Understood. Sister Immune, I'm sorry.
Brother Caesar.
Wait, who had it?
Brother Caesar.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brother Cecil, you had something to say?
This was our, what we're talking about. The scriptures hold true. What's the scripture says, bad company corrupts good man?
Yep, evil
Because you're
communication.
surrounded by people who serve other gods. Man. You know, scriptures will hold true all the time.
So, brother, what's your name again? I'm sorry.
Cecil.
Not you, Mr. Cecil.
Cordell.
What could you compared Solomon and Aaron's sons? What was your point with Solomon again? You said that he was continually doing it every day, and then David and Aaron's sons just had an instance where they slipped up.
Yeah, you were saying that Aaron was raised the way that you don't think he would do something like that. And I was saying, look at all the prophets, you know what I'm saying? All of them fell short, and all of them have desires, you know. Our hearts, you know, take time to be perfected and still fall short. But I'm saying somebody like Solomon who had all the wisdom still continually, dabbled with that sin, even if it wasn't for the strange wives, I feel like he still would have, had an internal problem like the rest of us.
Hey, read verse.
You know what I'm saying?
Hey, brother.
He never repented. David repented when he fell, but Solomon never did.
So he kept on to his, to the end.
Like, at what point then did he start? Because I want you to read verse 4 in 1 Kings 11.
All right, for it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned his heart away after other gods. And his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God and with the heart of David his father.
All right, so before this, what did you mean continue?
All right. I mean, literally right here it says in his old age, his heart was turned. But before that, he still was building altars to their gods, right? Even though his heart wasn't turned, he still helped out his wives. Like, his wives wanted to build an altar. He built an altar for his wife, built an altar for his wife. He even studied some of those things, you know what I'm saying? Like, you in the company of your wife, and that's her God. That's what you want to talk about tonight. That's what y'all gonna talk about, unless you tell her otherwise. You know what I'm saying? So even if his heart wasn't turned, like he still believed in the God of Abraham, he still dealt with them. He still dealt with those idols.
So you saying he became polytheistic?
I mean, I didn't say he believed them, but I'm saying he kept his wives happy.
No, in essence, by taking the wives, this is the sin in Deuteronomy 7. The sin is not once you be with them for a time and then they get you to serve. The sin is the initiation, period. So what he's saying is upon taking them is when that sin in Deuteronomy 7 occurred, but then the manifestation of him turning his heart from God comes later when he's old. I think that's the point that you're making, right? So that's what he means when he says before, like even though it says when he was old, his heart turned away. He was with these women, some of them before he even became king. Okay, but even once he became king, I mentioned this before when we were talking about how he made leagues with some of these nations to create peace. That's one of the reasons why he ended up taking some of these women. So he's saying before we even get to this point, him already having heathens in marriage is already a sin.
So you said that he made leagues. So isn't that basically a covenant?
Correct. It's just another word for a covenant.
So, all right. So that's a whole nother sin.
No, it's not. It's the same because that goes to his point. His point is the sin was already occurring. Okay, the sin was already occurring.
I was saying even if his heart wasn't turned in, he was still dabbling with other gods.
Right.
So what set it off was when he actually started building the idols. But he was already innocent, but everything like really went off when he actually started building the idols, is what you're saying.
Real quick, just to kind of go back to, and then Sister Yafa had a question. Let's just read Deuteronomy 7 one more time. What we're gonna do is we're gonna read this very slowly, okay? So you can see point for point what it's saying. Okay? Point for point what it's saying. In Deuteronomy chapter 7, starting at verse 1. And by the way, 1 Kings quotes this law, okay? We read 1 Kings chapter 11. The author of Kings is quoting this right here. He's quoting it. It says in verse 1, Deuteronomy 7, when the Lord your God shall bring you into the land, whether you go to possess it. By the time King Solomon is ruling, we're in the land, we've possessed it. Okay, so we're here. It says, and has cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, Jebusites. 7 nations greater and mightier than thou. When the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee. This means when God has allowed us to basically defeat them in war. That's what that means. When he delivers them before you, you shall smite them and utterly destroy them. That means to kill them. Thou shalt not make no covenant with them. A covenant is talking about a league, an oath, okay? So this is, if you do this, remember, a sin is when you do something that God says not to do, or when you don't do something that God says to do. Where here it says no covenant. So to make a covenant is what? It's a sin. It says, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. So upon the marriage, okay, upon the ceremony, all that stuff, you're now in sin at this point, okay? Thy daughter shall thou not give to his son. Meaning when somebody comes to you, if you have children, and says, hey man, I want to take your son and I want him to marry my daughter. And if this person is a heathen and you accept, upon the acceptance, that is a sin. Nor his daughter shall thou take to thy son. Verse 3, that's the sin. But then in verse 4, it says, for surely they will turn away thy son from following. Now, it don't give you a timeline as to they're going to make him turn away after a day or after a week or after a month or after a year or after several years. It don't give you a timeline. It just says, they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of the Lord be kindled against you and destroy you suddenly. So now, this is, I think, the point that Cordell is making when he says the sin's already occurred, right, with the marrying them part. And it's only a matter of time till verse 4 kick in when you start seeing the altars being built and the idols themselves. Because you got to remember, Solomon is a king. So he's not building nothing. His hand is not on no tools. So this means that he's making the people do this. Okay, and you can actually read this when you read further in 1 Kings chapter 11.
So it's inevitable. That's the point.
Exactly. I mean, that's what the law says. It's inevitable.
So the old,
It's a serious law, whenever they went against, what the Most High said, because he was specifically telling them, anytime you start serving another God, you put to death. You know, because I mean, going off of what, brother was just reading about the other gods, Jeremiah was dealing with the people with the same thing in Egypt. He told them, don't serve other gods, they were burning incense to the Queen of Heaven. They refused to stop. When he went to them and told them, look, y'all need to stop doing this, they said, we doing this because this is what we want to do. You know, so, yeah, he killed them all. Yeah. So he used that was the sentence for serving other gods. And I'm still trying to figure out what Brother Gabe was asking about the strange fire. Was it strange because they were burning incense to other gods? So that's what he's asking.
Yeah, he was basically asking. Well, you could mention what she's asking about the strange.
I was basically asking what was the strange fire that they offered to the father for the father to react and kill them. What was that strange fire?
It wasn't classified as strange fire because it was burning incense to other gods versus burning the incense that Aaron was telling them about in the book of Numbers.
yeah, was it burning the wrong incense or was it burning it for the
The
wrong
wrong
purpose?
God. It
For
was
the
burning,
wrong God.
yeah, it was burning it to the wrong God, so made it strange fire. That sounds like what it's saying in Leviticus 10.
I understand we got more clarity on that in Numbers, 30? Exodus 30, my bad. Anybody else has something?
Yeah, what do you think Aaron did?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah, Sister Yapa was, you had something.
So, in reference to Brother Oscar's, question was Solomon.
Brother Asa?
Oscar, you know, never see it right.
Say that deserves an Oscar.
What is it? Asa?
Awesome.
It is
I
Asa.
didn't say.
Asa, Asa.
Brother Asa, in reference to your question, if Solomon was in his right mind or not. So, in 1 Kings 11, in, verse 9, it says, and the Lord was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice, and had commanded him concerning his things, that he should not go after other gods. But he decided to not keep that which the Lord commanded.
What verse is that?
That was 9 and
9
10.
and 10.
Whether he was in his right mind or not, he will not held him accountable. The next verse, he said that, wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, for as much as you have done this, and he didn't keep the commandments, so he was dressing him like, hey, you should have knew better. So, like, whether or not he was in his right mind, he was held accountable.
All right. You about to say something?
Maybe Solomon was just, I don't know, had some narcissistic tendencies.
I mean, he probably you can actually know that. So this.
All right, hold on, everybody. Wait, who raised their hand up first?
I just was teasing, I said Solomon may have been a narcissist.
Take over real quick before we start. Okay. Go ahead, Sister Moon.
I think what Sister Yaakov was saying was what I was gonna say as well. I was gonna go back to those verses, but I was reading this and seeing where these men were operating of their own will and not the will of the Father at this time. Because it states in verse 10 of 1 Kings 11 that he was commanded. He said he reminded him of the commandment of him not taking other worshiping other gods. And then when we read in Leviticus 10, these two sons did this of their own will because he said that it was not commanded, that he did not command them to do so. So I think that they were operating of their own will and not the will of the Father at that time.
Well, if you'll remember, we did a lesson about this a few months back where we talked about how you can never put anything past anyone, okay? We read how Paul said he don't even trust himself as an apostle. So now how could we, just coming into the truth, however soon or however many years we've been in, trust somebody else to that extent, okay? That should never be a thing. We also talked about in Deuteronomy 7, I'm gonna get you, Ricky. We also talked about in Deuteronomy 7 that we know how brothers try to spin that verse who do have heathen wives and they try to justify that, okay? Because in Deuteronomy 7, it don't mention every nation. It just mentioned Canaanites. When you look back at all those nations in verse 1, all of those people come from Ham's son Canaan, okay? The Amorites, the Girgans, all those are the same people, they're Canaanites. So brothers will say, well, brother, she's not a Canaanite, okay? But we have to remember, this is why you go back to 1 Kings chapter 11, because in chapter 11 and verse 1, he don't mention Canaanites. He mentions Zidonians and Hittites, which are Canaanites. But he also mentions Moabites, who are not Canaanites. Egyptians, who are not Canaanites. Ammonites, who are not Canaanites. Edomites, who are not Canaanites, okay? But they're using these people, and then they quote Deuteronomy 7. So the point is, you can't put trust into an individual. And if King Solomon asked the Lord for wisdom, and God said he gave him so much wisdom to the point where there was never a man before him like that, and there will never be a man after him that'll ever come close. You can't say, well, that was Solomon, brother, I can do whatever, because Solomon is wiser than any of us in here, okay? Or was wiser than any of us in here. So if he's privy to make such a damnable mistake, being the wisest man that has ever lived, any and everybody in the Bible is subject to those same standards, okay? Ricky?
I was pretty much about to say that, but since I've been saying since from the beginning, since I've been reading the Bible, all these fellas and ladies in the Bible were getting it from the tap. So they went against it, that's on them. So if it came to them in a dream or personally and all, however, we just reading, we going off belief. They actually had this come from them. Yeah, so if they went against it, that's on them. I can't feel sorry for none of them, I'm sorry.
Well, we can see that this is how God operates, right? When you see when God destroyed the children of Israel in the wilderness, he had very little patience with them. Whereas now, people you know, can repent and, you know, turn away from their sins, et cetera, et cetera. But the earlier you read in the Bible and the more closer of a connection that you see the children of Israel had with God, the less tolerant he was to their sins. So there's plenty of situations in the Bible where you'll see a man and he does something wrong, like Achan in Numbers chapter 7 or Joshua chapter 7, and his whole family gets killed because of his mistake. It doesn't say that the wife did anything, the children did anything. It doesn't say anything like that. But God held his whole house accountable. But that's because God was dealing with them in a way that is not such to today.
Can you read Deuteronomy 13:6?
Chapter 13, verse 6? Absolutely. Absolutely. As a matter of fact, if you don't mind, could we start at verse 1 in that chapter? Okay. Because all this is talking about the same thing. This is the law about idolatry. Okay. Deuteronomy chapter 13, starting at verse 1. It says, if there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of that prophet or that dreamer of dreams. For the Lord your God proveth you to know whether you love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. This law right here just told you that God will put a fake false prophet in your face to prove whether or not you're going to serve him or no. He's telling you this right here. It says in verse 4, you shall walk after the Lord your God and fear him and keep his commandments and obey his voice, and you shall serve him and cleave unto him. And that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has spoken to turn you away from the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out of the way which the Lord thy God commanded thee to walk in. Thou shalt put the evil away from the midst of thee. Verse 6, here's the point. If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife of thy bosom, right here, Solomon's case, right? The wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is as thine own soul, entice thee secretly, saying, please pay attention to all the people that it names in here. It doesn't name regulars in your life. It names the people who you're closely associated with, people who you have an emotional connection with, people who you're more likely to listen to. It says that they entice thee secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers, namely of the gods of the people which are round about you, nigh unto thee or far off from thee, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. Thou shalt not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him, neither shall thine eye pity him, neither shalt thou spare, neither shalt thou conceal him. Do you see what he said? Like, this sounds like a person who's very, very, this is how mad God get when you go and serve other guys. He's telling you, I don't care how close this person is to you. This could be your wife, your son, your daughter, your friend. If this person says, let us go and serve other gods, first of all, don't even listen to that. Second of all, your eyes, the way you look at him, you should be like nothing about him should be pitying now, because you know what he's about to get or she's about to get. It says, neither shalt thou spare, neither shall you conceal him. You know when somebody commit a crime and you let him hide somewhere? That's what that's talking about. It says in verse 9, but thou shalt surely kill him. Thine hand shall be the first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. Now, again, this is a good point, because this just shows you how, see, we don't, like you saying, Rick, we don't really know how angry God get, okay? You know, we read how angry God get. We've never experienced how angry God has gotten, okay? The stuff that we read in here, these people seen it. And yet, like you said, some of them still, you know, make the decisions that they make. But right here in the law, it tells you, this is showing, because we have to realize that this is God talking. And he is saying, you need to be the first one to grab a stone and cast it at your son, your brother, your friend, your wife. And then he's saying, when you do it, there better not be a tear falling out of your eye as you about to.
So, I got a question. When Gabe was reading in, I believe, Exodus 32, let me just make sure. No, that's not it.
You said it's in Exodus 32?
No, I thought it was, maybe it's Exodus, yeah, Exodus 20. This instance, when Moses is speaking to the children of Israel, right? And the law you just read, obviously, and this may be a silly question, but I'll answer it anyway. When Aaron was down there with all them people, and they were telling him that we don't want nothing to do with Moses, he was aware of the law that you shouldn't have no gods before me, right? But the consequence of that law, when the Most High went in depth about what you just read, saying that even if they do it, you should kill them and feel no remorse. Was that understood?
Yes.
Okay, so Aaron should have killed him. Off rip.
Who? The people?
Aaron, yeah. As soon
Yes.
as he heard somebody.
But here's the problem. Aaron is one man, and the way it's written, it seemed like
They were trying to kill him.
Right.
If he didn't do it, so, which would lead to be the reason probably why Aaron did it.
That's the reason that he gives, yes. He says that the people, in essence, forced
Trying
him
to
to
kill
do it. Right.
Okay. Yeah. So he just should have died.
Who?
Things would have been much different then.
Who?
If he did.
Aaron.
No, like, because when I read this,
No, I'm asking, what I'm asking, Brother Steve, should Aaron just have let the people just kill him, other than putting that.
I mean, yes.
That's tough.
I don't know, because he didn't die.
You know that,
Right. No, I understand, I agree. I agree.
You said,
Aaron
you
should have
said,
taken his lick.
I don't know, because if he didn't die when all the other Levites were killing those 3,000 men, women, and children, you know, I don't think he was at fault. Because if that was the case, and he confessed to Aaron that he basically made the
To Moses?
to Moses, my bad, Moses, that he made the calf.
He had to.
Yeah, because he would have died. You know. So he was basically being forced. It's not something he wanted to do. He made it, so in essence, he should have died, but he was being forced to do something that he didn't want to do. As a matter of fact, going back to what, Exodus 32. Let me go back to Exodus 32.
Yeah, because the Most High still gave Aaron a chance to get out. But he had killed the people that didn't go where Moses told him to come. Didn't he gather the people that wanted to serve the Lord and kill the ones that didn't?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what saved Aaron. Essentially.
No.
Right?
You mean before they came?
No, when
Before-
Moses came down.
When Moses came down? I guess you can say what saved him, because, you know, Aaron came down, he saw that. So he basically put a stop to all that when he saw, you know, everybody was serving that calf.
Put a stop to it?
Yeah, he literally, it says in chapter 32, Exodus chapter 32, that he took that calf and he basically made it into powder, put it in the river, and everybody drank it. He cut that stuff.
Moses did that, right?
Yeah, Moses, he cut that.
Moses came down, they were still partying in that. So
Yeah, but when he saw it, he cut that short, and everybody, you know, who was serving that God drunk that stuff. But the reason why I turned back to it is because to prove that he didn't want to, you know, do that was where is it? He said that Aaron had made the people strip naked in their trying to find it. I
It's
lost
in
it.
verse 19.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it says, and it came to pass, soon as he came nigh into the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing, and Moses' anger waxed hot. He cast the tables out of his hands and break them beneath the mount. And he took the calf which they had made and burnt it in the fire and ground it into powder and strawed it upon the water and made the children of Israel drink of it. And Moses and Aaron said unto Aaron, what did this people unto thee, that thou hast brought so great a sin upon them? And Aaron said, let not the anger of my Lord wax hot. Thou knowest the people that they are set on mischief. For they said unto me, make us gods which shall go before us, and for us, for this Moses, the man that brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what is become of him. And I said unto them, whosoever have any gold, let them break it off. So they gave it to me. Then I cast it into the fire, and there came out this calf. And when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies. So how I read this is that Moses did what he could. He basically, stripped them of their dignity among the heathens for what they did. He couldn't do anything because he was just that one person amongst, the multitude of people.
Yeah, I understand. 25 is interesting too. Even with Moshe being around the Most High, he was able to see the same thing the Most High saw with Adam and Eve, being that they were naked. I can't really tell you what exactly that word means, but I'm assuming impurity. In this context, I'm not sure, but I thought that was interesting reading that over again too. Just with Moses being in the presence of the Most High, a whole different lens was open. Yeah, I just wanted to add that. But no, you answered it. Appreciate it.
No problem. Anybody else? I guess not. Huh?
When we was reading about Solomon, and they was asking about, and they was talking about the wives that he took. What was the difference between the wives and the abomination wives that he took? They said some of the wives he took for abomination from that land or whatever.
You mean the idols?
I could have sworn he was talking about wives. He was like, he took a wife from here, and he took a wife from there, and then he said he took an abomination from this land.
No, he's talking about the idols that he made the people build up, not the women themselves. Anybody else?
When you were bringing out Exodus 19, verse 7 and 8 kind of stuff out to me, it says, and Moses came and called.
Hold. I'm hearing pages turn and stuff.
Yeah, Exodus 19, verse 7 and 8. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all the words which the Lord commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that the Lord hath spoken we will do. And Moses returned the words of the people unto the Lord. I just read that as Moses literally talking to like the elders and stuff like that. So their duty was to teach the people as well, right? And I was just looking at it from that aspect of maybe the people, possibly all the information that was given to Moses, he then specifically gave it to the elders. And the whole point was to teach people like us, people who weren't the priests and whatnot, Torah.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of the idea of everything was just handed to us, rather than, versus everything was taught to us by who it was given to, if that makes sense.
Hey, repeat that again.
What I'm saying is only certain people had access to what Moses was teaching. Or what the Most High told Moses or shared with Moses, the tablets and everything.
You said that it was only with the elders?
No, I'm asking, from what verses 7 and 8 mean, that's how I read it. I'm asking if you agree or if you have another.
They were supposed to relate it to the,
19 answers that question.
That's
Before we
his
go
message.
there, go to Deuteronomy chapter 12, and then we gotta go to Second Maccabees chapter 6.
you want him to go there? You said him? You said Deuteronomy,
Chapter 12.
all right. Okay, all right. These are the statutes and the judgments which ye shall observe to do in the land, which the Lord God of thy fathers given thee to possess it.
So asking us to observe and do, and this is one of the points of what Solomon did, observe. We're gonna see what he observed. We don't.
All the days that ye live upon the earth, ye shall utterly destroy all the places wherein the nations where ye shall possess serve their gods, upon the high mountains, and upon the hills, and under every green tree.
Which is where some of these idols were built. We don't.
And ye shall overthrow their altars, and break their pillars, and burn their groves with fire. And ye shall hew down the graven images of their gods, and destroy the names of them out of that place.
Watch this next line. We don't.
You shall not do so unto the Lord your God.
But this is what we do often. What we should have been doing to the idols is what we do with our Father, because we're called by his name. So anytime we call it out, as Aaron did do, he was a coward, as all of us has faced that at some point, because Aaron said, well, they gave us the wind, he gave it us, and our king is calf. Like it just popped out. When you carved and you worked on that, you was one of those crafty craftsmen that did this.
The goldsmiths.
We don't.
But unto the place which the Lord your God shall choose out of all your tribes to put his name there, even unto his habitation ye shall seek, and thither thou shalt come. And thither.
These are the things we should be seeking. Solomon didn't do that. He inquired about how they did this. He sought about how they do this. This is some of the things that Brother Zephaniah had already said with the women, the strange women was going to do. They were strange by default. Everything about them is going to be strange. Read on.
And thither ye shall bring your burnt offerings and your sacrifices and your tithes and heave offerings of your hand, and your vows and your freewill offerings and your firstlings of your herds and of your flocks.
So everything we should have been given to the Father, not to an idol. What was happening with Solomon? He was produced the whole body, the whole armor, but he began to crack, as it says, not to give any crack to sin. I'm paraphrasing that scripture, but Solomon was getting weakened. And we're going to address his old age, as Zephaniah had already done that. Read on.
And there ye shall eat before the Lord your God, and ye shall rejoice in all that ye put your hands unto, ye and your households, wherein the Lord thy God hath blessed thee.
Verse 13.
Take heed to thyself
That's
that.
something that Solomon didn't do. He was that man. I'm that man. I'm that guy. Everybody else was taking heed to him, but he didn't do it to himself. Read that again.
Take heed to thyself that thou offer not thy burnt offering in every place that thou seest,
Read on.
but in the place which the Lord shall choose in one of thy tribes, there thou shalt offer thy burnt offerings.
Verse 19.
Take heed to thyself that thou forsake not the Levite as long as thou livest upon the
These
earth.
were the elders that was trying to advise him again. He's a king. So, and he has the authority to be reckless, which what he was, all of us have at one point, verse 28.
Observe and hear all these words which I command thee, that it may go well with thee, and with thy children after thee forever.
It didn't go well with him, and sure hell ain't going well with us right now. You know.
When thou doest that which is good and right in the sight of the Lord thy God. When the Lord thy God shall cut off all the nations from before thee, whether thou goest to possess them, and thou succeedest them, and dwellest in their land. Take heed to thyself that thou be not snared by the following them.
Obviously, that happened with him again. It was in his heart. And the armor that he had, that full armor was being cracked open by himself, not by the others. Go ahead. Inside y'all.
After that, they be destroyed from before thee, and that thou inquire not after their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? Even so will I do likewise.
I'm speaking to the brothers right now. Generally, when we meet women, you inquire about her. You're trying to learn who she is, and that's what Solomon did. I'm just kind of giving application to what he was doing. We don't. Thou
shalt not do so unto the Lord thy God, for every abomination to the Lord, which he hateth, have they done unto their gods. For even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire to their gods.
Certainly a strange fire right there. Read.
What things soever I command you, observe to do it. Thou shalt not add thereunto, nor diminish from it.
Which Solomon fell at doing. Let's deal with the old age. 2nd Maccabees chapter 6.
Did you want?
18.
Yeah, it is. But you didn't want the Leviticus? You still want the Leviticus 19? Or?
No.
Okay. Yeah, 2nd Maccabees.
In verse what?
18.
18.
All right.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, 2nd Maccabees should be in you guys' Apocryphas. Verse 18. 2nd Maccabees chapter 6, starting at verse 18. Again, this is 2nd Maccabees chapter 6, starting at verse 18. It says right here, Eleazar, one of the principal scribes, an aged man and of a well-favored countenance, was constrained to open his mouth and to eat swine's flesh. But he, choosing rather to die gloriously than to live stained with such an abomination, spit it forth, and came of his own accord to the torment.
So we see it's narrating where you know he was an aged man, and it said the premise right off the bat. Prior to that, in that chapter, is talking about the different disciplines that we went through, and we can read that later, but let's keep going with this.
Verse 20. As it behooved them to come that are resolute to stand out against such things as are not lawful for the love of life to be tasted.
Stop. Because we read in the New Testament, it said that if those who try to save their life would lose their life, we're talking about the king. This is what we do quite often. You got to pick up your cross. You got to deal with what's going to happen. We don't.
Verse 21. But they that had the charge of that wicked feast, for the old acquaintance they had with the man, taking him aside, besought him to bring flesh of his own provision, such as was lawful for him to use, and make as if he did eat the flesh taken from the sacrifice commanded by the king.
I know that this was an acquaintance of his. So he wasn't getting to know this one like Solomon was. He know this man. He know these people. That's his boy. We do that all the time. I'm sure y'all work with places where your boss pets you on the back, good boy, or whatever they call you when they hit it, but they good acquaintances. So you befriended this person. We don't.
Verse 22. That in so doing he might be delivered from death, and for the old friendship with them find favor. But he began to consider discreetly, and as became his age, and the excellency of his ancient years, and the honor of his gray head, whereon was come, and his most honest education from a child, or rather the holy law made and given by God?
Sounds like Solomon. As a child, he was taught these things. Hell, David had prophesied that in him, I would say, prayer, that he prayed that his son would be wise. And that's what Solomon became. You get that in, I think, 2 Kings or 2 Chronicles. You can read that also. Read.
Therefore he answered accordingly, and willed them straight ways to send him to the grave. Verse 24. For it becometh not our age, said he, in any wise to dissemble, whereby many young persons might think that Eleazar, being 80 years old and 10, 90 years old, were now gone to a strange religion.
So he's saying at a young age, you might be influenced for something like that. This is a wise man, an old man saying, well, for the sake of young brothers, I should do this. As Zephaniah pointed out already, Solomon already committed at a young age in his heart with the foolishness. Read on.
Verse 25. And so they through mine hypocrisy and desire to live a little time and a moment longer should be deceived by me, and I get a stain to mine old age and make it abominable. For though for the present time I should be delivered from the punishment of men, yet shall I not escape the hand of the Almighty, neither alive nor dead.
So when Solomon's lust, that time of pleasure, just for a moment, this brother's saying, look, for that time of life for a moment, my father gonna deal with me if I do these things. Solomon just didn't give a damn, period. Read on.
Wherefore now manfully changing this life, I will show myself such as one as mine age requireth, and leave a notable example to such as be young, to die willingly and courageously for the honorable and holy laws. And when he said these words, immediately he went to the torment. They that led him, changing the good will they bare him a little before into hatred, because the foresaid speeches proceeded as they thought from a desperate mind. But when he was ready to die with stripes, he groaned and said, it is manifest unto the Lord that hath the holy knowledge, that whereas I might have been delivered from death, I now endure sore pains in body by being beaten. But in soul I am well content to suffer these things, because I fear him. And thus this man died, leaving his death for an example of a noble courage and a memorial of virtue, not only unto young men, but unto all his nation.
Now, we hear about being virtuous, and usually that's given to women. It's very few men we see the word virtue being put to it. Here's one. As far as also saying, being the I guess the chief men of Israel. Let's go to Exodus 19.
Leviticus 19?
Exodus 19.
Exodus 19?
said in the first verse?
Yes, sir.
In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai. For they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched into the wilderness. And there Israel camped before the mount. And Moses went up to...
Mark you in the 3rd month. You can do that research on significance of that, but it's a marker. Go ahead, memorial of such. Read on, brother.
And Moses went up unto God, and God called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, Ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a people, a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all of the earth is mine.
Hence what you've seen on Zephaniah, not sure than the others here. We don't.
And ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. And Moses came and called for the elders of the people, and said, and laid before their faces all these words which the Lord commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that the Lord hath spoken, we will do.
Stop right there. You read the rest on your own, it gets good. Well, let's just finish it. Go ahead, bro.
And Moses returned to the words of the people unto the Lord. And the Lord said unto Moses, lo, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and believe thee forever. And Moses told the words of the people unto the Lord. And the Lord said unto Moses, go unto the people, and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, and be ready against the third day. For the third day the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. And thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about.
Sight of who, brother?
And thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about, saying, take heed to yourselves that ye go not up into the mount.
Back it up a little bit.
All right.
Verse 11.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, did I skip that verse?
No, he's wanting you to read it again.
All right. And be ready against the third day, for the third day the Lord will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. And thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about, saying, take heed to yourselves, that ye go not up into the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever touches the mount shall be surely put to death. There shall not a hand touch it, but he shall surely be stoned, or shot through, whether it be beast or man.
So we see that Moses did exactly what Jethro, his father-in-law, told him to get elders, somewhat leaders, and go get your prospective tribes or the rest of the people ready for this wedding. As you see in, I think, Matthew's, where it tells the brother to bid them to come to the feast, the wedding feast. Read on.
It shall not live. When the trumpet soundeth long, they shall come up unto the mount. And Moses went down from the mount unto the people, and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said unto the people, be ready against the third day, come not at your wives. And it came to pass on the third day in the morning, that there were thunders and lightnings, and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled. And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the nether part of the mount, and Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because the Lord descended upon it in fire.
So imagine this big feast, this big wedding that's about to take place, and the father is coming down to meet his bride and have this covenant, these vows being said at this wedding. What verse you read, bro?
Verse 18. All right. And the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long, and waxed louder and louder, Moses spake, and God answered him by a voice. And the Lord came down upon Mount Sinai, on the top of the mount, and the Lord called Moses up to the top of the mount. And Moses went up, And the Lord said unto Moses, Go down, charge the people, lest they break through unto the Lord to gaze, and many of them perish. And let the priests also, which come near to the Lord, sanctify themselves, lest the Lord break forth upon them. And Moses said unto the Lord, The people cannot come up to Mount Sinai, for thou chargest us, saying, Set bounds about the mount, and sanctify it. And the Lord said unto him, Away, get thee down, and thou shalt come up, thou and Aaron with thee. But let not the priests and the people break through to come up unto the Lord, lest he break forth upon them. So Moses went down unto the people, and spake unto them.
And from there you go to Exodus 20, and we're not finna do that, but, and you just read on. If it was just written in scrolls, it would just continue the conversation or what occurred. I digress.
So, Brother Andre,
Yes, sir.
as far as verse 15, would it be, I guess, permissible to assume that the wives, that the women weren't necessarily in attendance?
Oh, everyone was in attendance, as far as the elders were concerned, because you gotta understand, Miriam, she was over the musical ministry. So she was definitely one of the ones that would have been present. Not just her, but women that was in her regards.
Any other questions? Any other comments? Anything they want to add?
Good lesson, my brother.
Appreciate it.
Great lesson.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also want to thank y'all for being active. You know, this is actually fun and fun. Other than that, I think we can end the Sabbath service with a prayer. Definitely. Can you do it for me?
Before we pray, could I introduce my brother?
Sure.
This is Brother Philip Springsteen. He's from Washington. I went to school with him in North Dakota, right on the border of Canada. I was a baseball player, he was an All-American wrestler. Probably one of the most popular guys at the school. One of the smartest gentlemen I know, electrical engineer. Very, very intelligent. And we have been friends for about, maybe 6, 7 years. And ever since the Most High woke me up, it's something I've been talking to him about. Obviously, I can't do it alone. And it's even more difficult with him being, in another state right now. He went to work in Arizona, now he's residing in Texas. So if we could just kind of, help this brother out, especially the men, because like I said, I can't do it by myself, but I would love him to be a part of this family. And that's about it. Welcome, brother.
You're already a part. You're already a part. All right.
As you guys know, we ended the Our Father prayer. This is this way. Our Father, which art in heaven, our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. Thy will be done on earth. On earth as it is in heaven. As it is in heaven. Give us this day. Give us this day our daily bread. Our daily bread. And forgive us of our debts. Forgive us of our debts. As we forgive our debtors. As we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation. Lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. Deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. Thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the power. And the glory. And the glory. Forever. Amen. Forever. Amen.